Just checking inside first, making sure everything is okay. So just give me a second, guys. Just doing a little testing first. Hi, oracles. Yeah, so it's working fine. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay? That sound loud enough? Hi, Michael. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep, good. Thank you. Okay, so the first story is called. Hey, Michael. The first story is called Monkey Dream. This is the story of a dream. You know the kind of dream where you suddenly become aware that you are dreaming? That was the kind of dream it was. I was alone, standing on the platform of a deserted, dimly light railway station. Whoa, what a boring dream, I thought to myself. Just then, I heard an announcement come over the loudspeaker. A dull voice was saying, "The train will be arriving shortly. If you get on board, you will experience something very scary." Soon after this crooked announcement, the train pulled into the station. However, it wasn't really a train. It looked more like a kind of train you see at an amusement park, like a roller coaster or monkey train. There were a few men and women sitting in the cars, and their faces were very pale. What a weird dream, I thought. But I was curious about the announcement. I had heard, would I see something scary? What would it be? Hi, Diana. I decided to get on the train and find out. After all, how scary could it be? If I was aware it was just dreaming. I sat down in the third car from the back. The air around me felt uncomfortably warm. Everything seemed so realistic that I began to wonder if I actually was dreaming. "The train is now departing," said the announcement. As the train began to move, my heart was pounding with anticipation. I wondered what was going to happen. Soon after the train left the platform, we entered a tunnel that was illuminated by an eerie purple light. "I've seen this tunnel before," I said to myself. It was a tunnel from a ghost ride at the amusement park I used to visit as a kid. That's why I was dreaming about this weird monkey train. I was just remembering all the haunted house rides from my childhood. Isn't it, isn't, this isn't anything to be scared of, I told myself. Just then, there was another announcement. "Next stop, Zakuri. Zakuri is next." Zakuri, I thought. That's not a station. That's a rare Japanese dish. A skillful Japanese chef can cut up a fish and cook it in such a way that it's still alive, and when they serve it to you, the poor fish lies on your plate, gasping for air while you eat it. But in Japan, it's considered a delicacy. I was still thinking about it when I heard a loud, piercing scream coming from behind me. I turned around and saw four hunchbacked midgets dressed in rags. They were surrounding a man in the last seat. As I looked closer, I saw that the midgets were wearing monkey masks and brandishing large, sharp knives. Right before my eyes, they began cutting into the man into pieces. They were preparing him just like a chef prepares a curry. An overpowering stench filled the air, and the man kept screaming and screaming as they pulled his bloody organs out of his body and scattered them all around the train car. I noticed a sickly looking woman with long hair sitting directly behind me. When the screaming started, she began to panic, but only for a moment. Then she just became silent and faced the front as if nothing was going on. I was terrified by the horrible things that were happening behind me, and I started to wonder whether or not it was really just dreaming. When I turned around again, the man in the back seat was gone. All that remained were bloodstains and chunks of red meat. The woman behind me was still staring straight ahead, her face expressionless. Next stop, scooping, the announcement said. Scooping is next. This time, two of the monkeys' faced midgets appeared, carrying spoons with serrated edges. They began to scoop out the eyes of the woman behind me. Up until now, she had been expressionless, but the pain twisted in her face in a look of horror. She began shrieking so loudly that I thought my eardrums would burst. Her eyeballs flew out of their sockets, and stench of blood and sweat was unbearable. I was bent over, shivering in fear. This was my cue to leave. I couldn't take any more of this. Wake up, I told myself. I have to get out of here. Wake up. Then a horrible thought struck me. Judging by how things have been going, I was next in line. Next stop, mincemeat, came the announcement. Mincemeat is next. I felt sick. It wasn't hard to imagine what was going to happen next. I concentrated hard as I could, trying desperately to force myself to wake up from the dream. Come on, wake up, I told myself. It's just a dream. Wake up, wake up. Suddenly, I heard a loud metallic whirling noise. It sounded like a grinding machine. This time the two midgets were sitting on my knees. They were holding a strange looking contraption that I assumed was a minching machine. I was terrified. It's all just a horrible dream. Wake up, wake up. I closed my eyes and prayed as hard as I could. For the love of God, please wake up. The sound was getting closer and closer. I could feel the wind from this machine on my face. I was sure there was no hope for me. It was over. I was a goner for sure. Then, all of a sudden, everything went silent. I woke up in bed, soaked in sweat. Tears were streaming down my face. Somehow I managed to escape from that nightmare. I scrambled out of bed and went to the kitchen, where I got a drink of water and tried to calm myself down. That was horribly realistic, I thought to myself. Thank God it was only a dream. The next day, I told all my friends about the terrible dream I had experienced, and expected them to be terrified, but they just thought it was funny. I guess it was in a way. After all, it was just a dream. 4 years passed and I finished college. I had completely forgotten about the dream. However, one night I was working late at the office. It had been a busy day and I was very tired. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes just for a moment. That's when it happened. Next stop, scooping. Scooping is next. It was the same. Everything came flooding back. The same two crooked midgets in monkey masks were gouging out the eyes of the same expressionless girl. It's just a dream. Wake up, wake up. It's just a dream. Wake up, please, wake up. Next stop, mincemeat. Mincemeat is next. No, this is too much. Zzz, it's getting closer. It's just a dream. Suddenly, there was silence. I had skipped again, or so I thought. Just as I was about to open my eyes, I heard a voice say, "Are you running away again? The next time we come for you will be the last." I opened my eyes, and this time I was really awake and in my room. But the announcement I heard definitely wasn't in the dream. I heard it here in the real world. I know what I did. There's no mistake about it. Why me? What have I done to deserve this? I haven't had a dream since then, but I know that the next time I have a dream, I will die. It will probably be from a heart attack or something else like that. In this world, it might seem like a heart attack, but in the other world, I know I will be mincemeat. That was the first story, guys. Let's say it was scary to keep you awake all night. Let's try story number 2. I worked for a construction company, and a few days ago, we were hired by Catholic priests to do some renovation on an old church. While we were tearing down a wall, we found small leases behind it. It was a tiny room that had no entrance, as if it had been sealed off from the rest of the building. Inside there was a long black wooden box. The box was about 2 meters long and very old. The wood was damp and rotten. There was something written on the inside, but it was too worn and faded to make out. The box was neatly tight shut, and there didn't seem to be any way of opening it. When I showed it to our boss, he told me to contact the priest and tell him about it. When I managed to get the priest on the phone and described the box to him, he became silent for a moment. Then he told me he would come over in the morning and deal with it. In the meantime, he asked me to leave it somewhere safe. I carried the box into the church and left it in a corner. I figured I would be safe there overnight, since the church was not in use. By that time, it was almost evening, so I packed up my things and went home. The next day, when I arrived from work, my boss came hurrying over. "About that box you found," he said. There's, there's a problem. Last night, 2 of the watchmen came across it, and you're not going to believe this. The morons went and opened it. I hurried into the church and found the two watchmen sitting on the ground. My co-workers were standing around them. I suddenly had a very bad feeling in my stomach. Beside them, the wooden box lay open. The priest was standing there, shaking his head. "I warned you," he said. "I warned you not to open it. It's too soon." "What's wrong with them?" I asked, pointing to the night watchman. "You haven't said a word since we got here," said my boss. "It's like they can't even hear us." "You should bring them to the hospital," said the priest, "although it's probably already too late." Then I walked over and peered into the wooden box. I was shocked to see that it contained a body. It was mummified and remains of what looked like a human being. However, it was unlike any human being I had ever laid eyes on. The strange thing was it had two heads. Both faces were hideously deformed. Two left arms and two right arms. It was the most baffling mutation I had ever seen. Whatever it was, it really looked terrifying. I could see my co-workers were very disturbed. To calm them down, the priest went around the church, touching his rosary beads, sparkling and sprinkling holy water on everything and reacting something in Latin. The night watchmen were taken to the hospital, and we debated whether we should contact the police. The priest loaded the wooden box into the boot of his car. Then he stopped and hung his head. He couldn't even look us in the eyes. "I am sorry for all of you," he said sadly. "You don't have long to live." With that, he drove off, and we left scratching our heads. In the days that followed, strange things began to happen. We heard that one of the night watchmen died in the hospital. He had a heart attack. Even though he was only in his 30s, the other was transferred to a mental institution. Three of my co-workers came down with a mysterious illness and had to be hospitalized. That evening, as I was leaving work, I tripped on some rubble and tore a ligament in my leg. It meant that I couldn't work and was forced to recover at home. I had too much time on my hands, and strange thoughts that swirling around in my head. I couldn't get the words of the priest out of my head. I tried calling him several times, and eventually he answered his phone. We talked for over 2 hours, and he told me a lot. Perhaps he told me too much. "I have to know exactly that thing." He said he died many years ago. At one time, he was a human being, or should say, two human beings. Two deformed children who came from a small village in the south, but their parents were extremely poor. They ended up selling them to a slave dealer. Somehow they ended up being put on display in a travelling freak show that pictured the country. So I don't understand. If they were two people, how did they become one person? "Hi Jeff, do you mean they were Siamese twins?" He said, "Are you sure you want to tell me about this?" "Yes, I really want to know." Good, good. I wasn't going to tell you everything, but what harm can it do? No, they were not Siamese twins. They were not born that way. However, they did have several deformed faces. At the time, they were a ridiculous cult. They acted in a secret. You have to forgive me for not saying the name of the cult aloud, but it's to do with devil worship. Their leader was a man by the name of Monobe. He went to the freak show and paid large sums of money for the specimens. He bought the twins, you see, for his collection. What did he want them for? There is a legend about a certain occult ritual. It states that it's possible for someone to create a very powerful curse. Okay, Marie, it's no problem. They say that if you put two poisonous insects in a jar, they will fight to the death. You can use the one to survive to make the curse more powerful. Something about combining a loved one with a dead one. Well, use that method on one human being, taking that little story about the curse. He conducted his terrible experiments in a hidden room in the basement. He left the twins alone in that room without food or water. How long were they locked in the room? Long enough for one to eventually kill and cannibalize the other. Quite some time, I imagine. I would rather not imagine such things. But the cruelty didn't end there, he said. The last one alive in that room was taken out and set about combining him with his dead brother. He had no pity for them. He didn't see them as human beings. For him, they were just a tool, a means to an end. Using crude surgery, he removed the head and arms of the dead twin and sewed them to the body of the surviving twin. This is how this thing was created. I said he created a monstrosity on purpose. He said he did not regard it as that. He was completely interrupted in what he had created in the time of legends. There was a beast called Sukana. It was a two-headed, four-armed monster. He named his creation after that legend, and he and his followers worshipped it like an evil divinity. They locked it in a room and stabbed it to death. Then he performed dark occult rituals in honor of it. I see. So as a sort of a cursed talisman, if you will, he believed that he created the evil one that could kill a large number of people and angel of death. Who was the target of the curse? Every living thing in this world. Every single person on earth. What? Was he crazy or something? That's definitely possible. The curse is very powerful. Began turning up at the site of natural disasters. Whenever there was an earthquake, a flood, a fire, in the days leading up to the disaster, that evil creature was found. The followers of this cult were still alive. The transportation remains of the creature, causing death and destruction in its wake. You mean every disaster in the last 100 years has been that curse? Exactly. This is unbelievable. The cult has branched all over the world. They do their goal in the destruction of every living thing in this world. But this couldn't be true. It's just a coincidence, right? That is, the monster had appeared before every disaster that occurred in the last 100 years. But it would have been a very amazing coincidence. Where is the monster now? Somewhere safe until it is needed again. You are bringing it somewhere else? In the future, yes. You're a member of this cult, aren't you? I was wondering if you'd ask me that. You are, aren't you? Are you crazy or something? That's definitely possible. So what's going to happen? I don't know precisely. The monster determines from what happens. We can only watch from afar and reveal in the wanton death and destruction. Why have you told me so much? I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. You see, you won't be alive much longer, and anyway, who would believe you? But how can you do this? It's evil. It's meaningless slaughter. What goal does it serve? What could be the point? Let us leave it at that. Don't call here again. After he hung up the phone, I began racking my brain, trying to figure out what I should do. I couldn't warn anyone. He was right. No one would believe me. I'd legally booked a flight out of the country. At least I could try and save my own skin. On my way to the airport right now. I hope I can get away for in time. I hope it's not too late. If you're watching the news and you see reports of a disaster, the next few days, one that kills a large number of people, then you know that caused it. Just pray that this monster doesn't turn up in your country. I hope you like that one, guys. Thank you, Oracle. I'm trying to make it as fun as possible. Well, not fun, but scary. I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes in case you need to go to the restroom. How's you? How's you, Marie? Anyway, are you okay? Could I be visiting one of you in your nightmare? That's good, Marie. It's good to know that you're not too bad. Are you still doing your lives and that? Hey, madam, how's you? Shout out to you. Guys, if you haven't already, if you just want to connect to each other, you can do. Oh, I missed it. I never got the notification for your live tonight, Marie. Just getting this next story. Oh, I just moved it. Yay, scary stories. Yeah, I kind of noticed that, Marie. It doesn't seem like Wi-Fi's working properly when it comes to notifications. I think I need to scare some YT, I think. Well, I've got quite a few good stories for you, Marie. So the next story is called Three Girls. Just trying to get a sound that thing. Hey, Luna. Few months ago, my friend Yoko and I went to a girl's house for a sleepover. I didn't know the girl very well. Her name was Amy, and she had a friend of Yoko. They went to the same school. They, they were kids. Amy was a strange girl. She was very quiet and seldom said anything. Her parents went out for the night, and we were left alone in the house. We got changed into our pajamas and sat around trying to tell ghost stories. The problem was, we didn't know very many of the ones we knew were kind of lame. All of a sudden, Amy perked up. I know a good website, she said. She opened up her laptop and clicked on one of the bookmarks. We gathered around and looked at the website. It had lots of scary stories from all over the world, including Japan. Amy scrolled down a page where we started to monitor. Yoko pointed to one of the stories. What's this one? She asked. For a moment, Amy's face changed to a serious frown. You're not supposed to read that one, she said. It's dangerous. This whole website is creepy, I said. Is this supposed to be for kids? Asked Yoko. No, Amy replied in a serious tone. It's definitely not for kids. Some of the stories and games are really dangerous, like this one. She clicked on the link for one story. It seemed very strange. It was a picture of a woman in long dark hair, but her face was disturbing. It made me sick to even look at it. The text said, the person who wrote this story is not human. You're not supposed to listen to this story, said Amy. So let's not listen, replied Yoko. Yeah, let's just go to bed, I said. I had a strange feeling about this site. I mean, where did they get all these weird stories from, and why did they collect them? Who would even make a site like this? There was something very unsettling about the whole thing. Amy didn't take any notice of us. She pressed play on the video, and we heard the start of the story. As soon as I heard that weird voice, it freaked me out. I put my hands over my ears and left the room. Yuko followed me. We waited in the bathroom until it was over. I can't remember the story was about, but I do recall that it was very short. It seemed more like a poem than a story, but it didn't rhyme. Then we came back in. Emmy had a strange look on her face. See, nothing happened, she said. Not long after that, we decided to go to bed. We were very tired. Emmy got into her bed and lay down on the futon beside Yoko. We turned off the lights and went to sleep. I always have trouble sleeping when I stay in someone else's house. In the middle of the night, I was awoken by a strange sound. After a minute or so, I realized it wasn't Emmy. She was making small noises in her sleep. It sounded as if she was having a bad dream. I shook Yoko to wake her up. Maybe Emmy shouldn't have read that story before going to bed, she mumbled. I tried to go back to sleep, but Emmy moans became louder. She started talking in her sleep. How did you find me? She murmured. I nudged Yoko and we both lay there listening to her. I, I don't think I can sleep, thought Emmy, very tone. That was very clearly, I said. You are facing over there still, but I thought Kana happened already. It must be a weird nightmare, said Yoko. Just as she said that, Emily suddenly got up out of bed, and the way she moved was jerky like a puppet. When I saw what a cold chill ran down my spine. Emmy had her back to us, and her head was hanging down. Her long black hair was covering her face. She just stood there facing her bed, moaning softly. Very slowly she began to turn around. Just then, Yoko flew into panic. That's not Emmy, she hissed. Emmy was still slowly turning. Yoko was staring at Emmy, her eyes wide in fright. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't turn away. I was trembling. In the dim light, I could make out Emmy's face as she turned. It was Emmy's face, but somehow it wasn't. Her skin was pale, her eyes were bugged out, her mouth was distorted and twisted into an evil grin. Aha, you thought I would quiet there. We went downstairs, but the house was empty. We were really freaked out, and the events of the night before fresh in our minds. Yoko and I grabbed our bags and left as fast as we could. We tried to call Emily on our mobile, but it was out of range. We tried again and again in the afternoon, but it was always out of range. Later that evening, we called her home phone number and her mum answered. She said she didn't know where Emmy was either. Yoko and I became more and more scared. We texted all of our friends, but none of them had heard from Emmy. It was like she had dropped off the face of the earth. Emmy's parents went to the police and filed a missing persons report. They started to search for Emmy. Most people thought she had run away from home. Nobody could find any trace of her. The police came to question myself and Yoko, but there was nothing much we could tell them. We both knew Emmy didn't run away from home. One day Yoko came over to my house. We got on the laptop and searched the internet for the scary website Emmy had been reading. With trembling fingers, Yoko clicked on the link. A notice came up on the screen. This story has been removed, it read. Do not try to find this scary story, it is too dangerous. We searched through the site, but we couldn't find it. Ever since then, I had a horrible trouble sleeping. I'm scared that when I wake up, I won't be here anymore. Dum, dum, dum. Hope these stories are right for you guys. Just gonna have a quick drink. Let's see if I can try and do a story with people in chat. Hello, Trinidale. Just having a couple of closing a cigarette before I go into the next one. I hope you're alive through the hill. Okay, let's try this one. This one's called Ghost in the Stacks. I'll try to put some of the viewers in this one. I saw her out the corner of my eye while I was studying in a remote corner of the second level stacks in the library. She was pretty, with reddish hair and pair of wide eyes and an intelligent face. I straightened up, patted my head to make sure it was smooth, and took another look. She was gone. I felt my shoulders sag a bit, but as I turned back to my books, oh well, there was more important things like studying hard so I could get into medical school when I graduated next year. Still, I kept seeing the girl's pretty face whenever I closed my eyes, and I was still thinking about her as I left the library. A few of my friends shouted to me, and I walked over to get their info. Where have you been, Tony? My friend Jeff called. At the library, I said, patting my backpack. You've been studying, Jeff asked. I grinned. I gotta crack down now, so I can get into med school, I cried to his jibe. Can't always be partying with you losers. That set them off as I intended, and kept the jokes flying. Although I didn't admit it to myself, I chose the same spot in the stacks for my studies the following afternoon, hoping to see that pretty girl again. I was in luck. After an hour, she appeared among the shelves. Browsing the intense, I noticed that she was wearing the same red flowered dress with a button down white sweater. She must like that outfit. It was time for me to do some browsing too, I thought, straightening my shirt and rising casually. I turned to walk into the shelves and stopped abruptly. She was gone. I was astonished. She must be quick, I thought. It had only taken me a few seconds to rise and turn, but in that short time she had managed to move away without me seeing her doing so. I walked casually through the stacks, gazing this way and that, trying to spot her again. No luck. With a sigh, I turned to my seat and my studies as a frustrated man. I didn't see the girl again for several weeks. Then one day, as I rushed out of the stacks towards my friend Jeff, who was impatiently beckoning to me to hurry up, I saw her rising from a seat in a far corner. There I backtracked in the hope at least walking past her and saying hello. I stopped at the entrance of the stacks where the pretty girl was sitting. There was then suddenly she just vanished again. There was no one near. I shivered a bit. This was getting spooky. She was avoiding me. Why? She had never spoken, and I certainly could not accuse of staring at her, since I only seen her a few total, maybe 30 seconds. Shaking my head at the mystery, I went back over to Jeff and towards the library. Later that week, I decided to skip the football game to cram for a big exam. Just about everyone else was at the game, so the library was nearly deserted. As I strolled over to my favourite study spot in the stacks on the second level, I'd given up on seeing the pretty girl with the reddish hair. Obviously, some things were just not meant to be. I was deep into my studies when I heard the sound of books and shelves tumbling. I leaped up and ran towards the sound. To my horror, the pretty red girl whom I'd been trying to meet lay on the floor with books all around her. She was unconscious, and my heart gave a painful thump when I realised that there was blood staining her red dress, and then, right before my eyes, she vanished. I sat down abruptly on the floor, my legs shaking too hard to hold. I had just seen a ghost. It was just then that I remembered the story of the girl who had been murdered in the library back in the 60s. I knew at once that it was her. I just had seen the reenactment of her final moments of life. I buried my face in my shaking hands, feeling a terrible grief at the tragic loss of such a beautiful girl. From what I had heard, her murderer was never apprehended. It made me furious to think that justice had never been served. Slowly I uncoiled my body and rose to my feet. The aisle between the stacks was empty now, and so was my heart. I was too unnerved to study anymore in this deserted place, so I grabbed my books and went back to my room. I saw the girl one more time before I graduated. I was reading in my favourite study character when I felt a chill in the air. I shivered and looked up. Standing a few feet away from me, our eyes met, and I saw fear and despair in her face. Immediately, my own face twisted in sympathy, and I held out my hand towards her. At the sight of the distress, she reached her hand back towards me as if to comfort me, and she gave a tiny smile, and then she was gone. In that moment, I knew whenever the girl had gone after her death, she was just fine, and I felt sure that someday, somewhere, her killer would be brought to justice. If not in this world, then most assuredly in the next. Was that one more better, guys? Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Article. Now, have any of you ever felt the fear of falling? We've all felt it. You're up late, working, studying, watching a movie, reading on the computer. Doesn't matter what you're doing, it's the feeling you get. You're tired, the eyes you get. Oh, sorry. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it's the feeling you get. You're tired, your eyes burn, and you have a great feeling you get after not sleeping for a while. Okay, you can't go crawl into bed right now, but close your eyes for a couple of minutes. Try to get a little moisture back into your eyes. That couldn't hurt anything, right? Then you're falling, like stepping off a cliff. You're in a free fall, through your body isn't even moving. Then, like a bungee cord snapping back, you're jerking awake, heart thumping a little faster, blinking quickly, wondering Just what happened. Doctors call it hypergenic, a natural reaction you see to your brain thinking you're dying when you're breathing and heart is slow as you fall asleep. What the doctors don't know is your brain is right. Every time you let yourself nod off, every time you feel that falling sensation, you're not falling, you're being pulled down, and one day your brain won't be able to pull you back up. They will have you. So what about this one then, maybe? It's late. You shouldn't be up like this, you know? It's not healthy surrounding yourself in utter darkness, with nothing but a dull monitor to eliminate your surroundings, utterly defenseless. Your internal consciousness could already be laughing at you. You could be thinking to yourself that you're entirely aware of where this is going. Well, not actually for me, but for everybody. Well, I'm here to warn you in precisely 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Something will catch the corner of your eye. You'll turn your head sharply, attempting to focus your vision. Your cat will slink past, willing waving his tail. Your relief will overcome you as you gently welcome your failing companion into your lap. The poor animal will collapse of purr, of contentment filling the air. As you continue pursuing the internet, you will notice something strange about your pet. You look down and notice a note that has been tucked into its corner. It's blank. You question this, but return to the internet. Your cat shivers, stretches and jumps from your lap, scurrying off. The notes which you had confidently placed next to your computer begins to bleed with dark ink. You open the crumbling paper, hold it to the light of the monitor, and then an instruction of an eye will appear. It's then you realise you don't own a cat. Now, this is a sign that you have any hope of saving yourself. Find a scrap of paper, draw an eye, turn off your monitor, surround yourself by darkness. Don't you dare close your eyes, blink, as this will be all for the naught. You'll be dead before you even feel your eyes close. Kneel, fold the illustration, and place it within arm's reach of you. By now you should feel it on you. The eye will be watching. It will choke your breath. You must try. Utter the following. I can see you. Drop the bit of paper and return to your computer. I'm sorry to say the watchful eye will never cease. You will always feel it. It's watching you nice. Sorry guys if I'm creeping you out, but that's what the story bit's about. It's a cool, calm night. You worked hard that day, and you feel ready for a good night's sleep. You climb into your bed and turn off the light. You notice that, considering you live alone, it's unusually quiet tonight. Ever since the death of your next door neighbour, the loud rap music woke you up in the middle of the night, no more. The police were quiet, reliable in these parts, but you can't help but feel a little disturbed that for all the blood that was spilt and the mess that was caused, the investigators still don't seem to have a lead. You tell yourself not to worry, the community is on their toes. No sensible killer would go sneaking around this town. You lay down and close your eyes. As you drift off to sleep, a clear view of front of your house floats into your vision. Lights off except for the television and the downstairs window that you must have forgotten to turn off. You sit up. What kind of dream was that? No, it was more vivid, more distant than a dream. Strange. Oh well, you think as you lay back down. Not long after you close your eyes, you get a similar vision of the front door. Again you wake up. What's going on here? No matter. You left all the doors locked still, but you feel a bit disturbed as you lay back down. The stairs leading up to the upstairs hallway fill your mind. The picture at the top of the stairways grows larger as you seem to be moving slowly up the stairs. You try to remain asleep, but abruptly sit up when you hear the wooden creak steps outside of your door. Paranoia gets the better of you, and you put a small pistol out on your nightstand to keep all around for self-defense. Thank you for the bell. Have a good night and be safe. Holding it doesn't seem to give you much comfort, as you thought it would, as the steps continue to creak slowly, as whatever is slowly ascending to the hallway. You get up and poise the gun at the door. The creaking stops. A few minutes pass and you decide that you really have gone crazy with paranoia. Now that you realise it was only your imagination, you tell yourself to go back to bed and have it checked tomorrow. But what were those visions? A dream? A spiritual warning? Your mind playing tricks on you? These thoughts pester you as you slowly close your eyes, still standing in the middle of the bedroom, facing the door. You snap awake and you aim at the bedroom door, ready to strike at any moment from the visions you saw. Whether deceptive or telepathic, receiving was standing right on the other side of the door. What did you do? How did it get in? Is this all in your head? Is it safe to return to sleep? Then it was surely attack while you're off guard. You take a minute or so to gather up your courage and approach the door. You slowly grasp the knob and turn it ever so softly. Then you kick the door open and pull the trigger so you realise that there's nothing out there but a dark hallway. That was close. You almost caused a huge ruckus in the neighbourhood. The last thing you needed for all this stress, you take a deep breath to regain composure, close your eyes, stretch your tense muscles, and you see yourself from behind staring into the hallway. It's going to take another couple of draws in the cigarette, guys. I don't think much of you guys will be sleeping after this. Okay, let's try this one. Call me tomorrow, okay? Still no messages on my phone. I guess he wasn't cold when he called me back after all. I can't really blame him. Maybe I've been. No, no, no matter. That's too weird for me. Sorry, guys, I'm reading that. Just a bit.
It's nice to finally meet you. Finally, I'm just overjoyed to have someone to talk to. Oh, I cannot express how I am to have this opportunity. Why am I so happy? It's really quiet, simple. The last few years of my life, I have been torturous. I mean, God. Oh, that's a funny saying. God. No loving God would let any of his children go through what I have. But now I have something to talk to. Oh, glorious days. Oh, where to begin? I think it was a day much more like this. We went to the library with some friends to find something to do over the coming weekend. We just got there. Just before the library opened, we found an hourglass on the stairs. Real ornamental looking, gold encrusted in buttons. We were pretty bored, so we turned it over, set it down, and both started talking. A few minutes later, the librarian showed up. As it turned out, he showed up the same instant the last grades of sound ran at the top of the chamber. We didn't find anything in the library, but did have a few. Regardless, we spent the rest of the day just hanging out in my place. We talked, enjoying entertainment the media provides. We figured out the hourglass lasted for about 4 or 5 minutes. I can't remember when we did this, but that's how long before it goes dark. We went to go for a walk, nicely leisurely so. I remember turning the hourglass over before we left. I mean, not intentionally. We were just playing with it, and I put it down, standing up. We left at 4:30. One of my friends asked me the time. I remember glancing down at my watch. I said, it's about 5:15. But then I had the streets in the fire. I had a shriek and looked up. The crowd was backing away from us, while one of my friends lay crumpled and bleeding in the middle of the road. His neck was clearly broken. He spent the rest of the night at the police station filling out statements. They never caught the driver. Knowing what I know now, I doubt ever was a driver. Just some cop. He was sitting in my place a week later and sent me feeling with the hourglass. He set it down and forgot about it, talking about our love friend. It was about 40 minutes later when it happened, exactly 4 or 5 minutes. Though one of my friends gasped for air, opened his chest. CPR did not work. Nothing did. He died of a heart attack at our age. Ridiculous. The other guy in the room that day was also with us on the walk. We haven't talked since. I was sitting in solitude, heads in my hands, thinking over my friends. It was then I realized that they had both died 45 minutes after the hourglass was turned. I wanted to be rid of the cursed object. I wanted so desperately to be rid of it. I did not consider what was going to happen. I went and left it on the library steps again. I went back the next day and it was gone. I would never see it again. But things happening seemingly random. I could only assume that the new owner was turning it over. Life was really terrible. The girlfriend I had dumped me for another man. My friend was trickled away. Oh, but I was never alone. I would hear whispers, laughing, footsteps. Yes, footsteps walking across the room I was in. I could see nothing. It was so unnerving. For a while, it was only in the dark. But then it started in day two. Wherever I went, I heard laughing, mocking me from a place I could not see. I suppose if it had been over, I would have been fine that day. I woke one night with a smell of death. I could not move. I became aware of a breathing sound mere inches from my face. I began to whisper. I could not understand it. I tried to sit up, but it felt stinging pain as something was seen tore into my chest. I ripped something out. I'm still living now, but the scars are there, always there forever. I remember what happened after two. I felt the air rush against my face. I heard the flap of burning wings. I heard them fly out my door, and then crash. When I realized to leave, I ran to where I heard the sound. I found a broken window. I live with them every day. I hear whispers, laughs, tauntingly. I try to block them out, but then I can feel cold fingers right around me. I feel myself unexpectedly bent towards danger. This is why I can only be in private places. Someone to pull me away, break the grip, or whatever has got a hold of me. I moved around a lot, but they followed me. I knew it was pointless, so I gave up. I moved back here to the place I lived years ago. Then I saw you. I knew I had to talk to you. You were special. And during our conversation, I figured out why. Nice to meet you. I'm you.
It's night time. You're in bed, trying to get some sleep. The TV is on. You've got it to the lowest volume setting so you don't wake your parents. Flickering, light emanating from its rebounding around the room, changing the shape of the shadows all around you and playing hell with your mind. Stupid you has already switched the lights off, and the switch is on the other side of the room. You're scared. Images of demons and ghostly specters wash through your mind. Your heart pounds like the fall of a hammer on an anvil. Why? Oh, why did you read all of those creepy or listen to those creepy stories? You kick yourself for being such an idiot and roll over and try to get some sleep. Then it happens almost as soon as you close your eyes. A thud almost like it came from down the hall. You open your eyes and sit up. Probably your brother or your spouse falling out of bed or something. You roll back over and shut your eyes again. Another, this time closer. It's my cat. Outside of your room, you sit up and look at the door. The TV is still on. The door stays shut. Then you have a great idea. You grab the TV remote and turn the volume up. You start to feel better as the sounds of human voices enter your ears. You roll back over and close your eyes again. Then you realize how stupid you were. Only then, do you realize if the volume's been turned up, how are you going to hear the last?
That might be not scary.
Daddy's little girl. She has her mother's bright blue eyes. Daddy's little angel does. And she's most beautiful smile you have ever seen. She could melt an iceberg. She could. Everyone knows she just loves her to death. And I'm so proud to call myself her father. She's a gift from above. I know it, which is why I must protect her, no matter what cost. Some people don't understand. It all started a couple of weeks ago. Some naughty little girl was teasing my little angel, and she just wouldn't leave her alone. She was saying nasty things, saying how poor she was, and saying how dirty and such. She just had the filthiest mouth. Little girls shouldn't be so nasty. Well, she followed her home that day, throwing dirt at her, telling her to take a bath in it. Well, my daughter showed her what it was. Yes, she did. And Daddy couldn't be more proud. I don't think anyone should hurt a child, even if they don't mean it. Don't get me wrong, but my daughter never did anything to anyone, and I love her to death. You've got to understand, I was only being a loving father when I hid the body. You see, we live in a very rural area, and that nasty mouth little girl clearly had no business following my daughter in the first place. But I know now no one would understand, and I just can't let anything happen to my little angel. Of course, that's when my wife came home and saw that the little girl had a few bruises. Can you believe she actually glared at me, as if ever so much thinking of my little angel? Of course, I was upset, but the sweetheart that she was set her trap sure enough. She told her how filthy the little girl harassed her and wouldn't leave her be. And I tell you, that lit my wife right up. She was so angry. I had to restrain her. She was going to call her parents there and then. It was 9 in the evening. Well, I finally talked her down, even though she was furious with me, but I just handled it sooner. Of course, by then, she just didn't trust me to sell, no matter what I told her. I said I'll do it first thing after work the next day, but no, no. She insisted she called them herself the next day. Even my daughter pleaded with her not to call her parents. She said she'd been so embarrassed at school that everyone found out she'd run home and told Mummy. Of course, we both knew we couldn't explain that the filthy little girl had gone missing. After all, little scuffle melted me. I mean, she's my wife and I love her, but just couldn't understand. But she just sent my daughter straight up to bed and wouldn't hear another word from her on the matter. Her mind made up, and she's very headstrong, strong woman. It's part of her charm, so there's no arguing with her once she's made up her mind on a matter. Well, after that, I went to tuck the little angel in and read her a bedtime story, and she begged me not to tell Mummy, call the filthy girl's parents. But I told her how persistent Mummy is, and that she wouldn't listen to me. Of course, that didn't sit well with my daughter at all. She knew that Mummy wouldn't understand, and neither would her schoolmates' Mummy. No, especially not her. I told my daughter I would think of something, and I promised that I wouldn't let anything happen to her. But Daddy's little angel is clever. Daddy's little angel already had her mind made up. I should have understood. The next day, I came home to see my wife lying at the bottom of the stairs in a crumpled, bloody heap. There was so much blood, and it had long since dried into the carpet. When I got home, she had never made it to work that morning. The official story was that she had taken a nasty fall down the stairs and cracked her head open like an egg in a tumble. But as I looked into my daughter's eyes, so empty, so emotionless, no, 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 Daddy's little angel did not hurt anyone. Dad didn't try to hurt her first. She's special. Anyhow, there was a funeral, and the whole family showed up. My daughter couldn't have been more bored. She just sat there staring at the nothingness. When it came time to view the corpse, she really gave it a glance. I like to think she's coping with the loss in her own way. Daddy's little girl loved her mummy more than anything. It was just before the burial the next day that investigators showed up at the door. My daughter answered as I was rushing to get ready. I rushed to the door as this man was questioning my little girl, gently scouting my daughter out the way and stepped up to the door. May I help you? I asked, trying to sound polite. I need to ask you some questions about the circumstances of Ray's death, the investigator said. Who are you? I think some of my frustration is coming through, but it might be my more self-confidence. I'm sorry, he said with a laugh. Detective Kimball, local PD. I just got results back from the autopsy, and the blunt trauma your wife suffered, and the bloodstains found on the carpet don't exactly match up. I was wondering if you could give me a little more insight. Well, I'd love to, detective, but as I told the responding officers, I only found the body when I came home from work. I wasn't here to see it happen. The detective tried to speak again. I think I cut him off. Frustration was filling me. If you'll excuse me, we have a burial to attend. I grabbed my daughter's hand and walked her out the door, locking it behind me. I glanced back to see that the detective was watching as we drove away. My daughter was silent the entire trip there. And back, as soon as we got home, she retreated to her room. The poor baby has it so rough, all this death surrounding her. I shampooed the carpet the best I could to get the stains out, and fixed up dinner for us. We ate in silence, and it filled me with pain to see her suffering. I'll never forget, just before she got up to take her plate to the sink, she looked at me and smiled so softly. Oh, my little girl, was the sweetest smile you ever did see. A couple of days passed, and I thought things were getting back to normal. Well, as normal as they could be, without my beautiful wife to come home to when it happened. You see, I rush home each day to meet my daughter as she's coming from school. But yesterday, I was lost in the thought and took my time getting home. You see, the day My wife's sister suggested she would come over and bring my daughter's cousin to visit, and I couldn't refuse, so I had to get in the nineties and had to show her we were coping. The house was quiet when I got there, but that wasn't so unusual as Daddy's little girl tends to keep herself. Spends most of her time in her room playing with her dollhouse. She's always so clean and always so quiet. I couldn't have asked for a better little girl. I walked up to my daughter's room and it was empty, and then proceeded to check the rest of the house. I found her nowhere until I came to the door leading to the cellar. Odd, it was cracked. I pushed it open and started down the stairs. I could see light spilling across the floor at the bottom of the staircase, illuminating a small puddle of blood just a foot from the bottom step. Just hand me the gun, a voice said softly. I'll get out of here, take you somewhere safe. I rushed down the stairs and found my daughter standing a mere 2 feet away from Detective Kimball, who sat bound with rope and bleeding from the head. I approached my daughter and eased the gun from her hands as the detective seemed to eye me with the most dreadful gaze anyone has ever given me in my life. I took the gun in my hands and was surprised how natural it felt. Though I'd never held a gun in my life, the excitement that filled me as I lifted the gun and watched the detective's face complete in horror almost sickened me. Why have you come? I asked him. I aimed the gun at his head. Your wife's death was not an accident, he replied. I was at work when it happened, and my daughter was at school. It's been deemed an accident. What did you hope to find here? The coroner stated she died in the early morning, around the same time you leave for work. I grabbed my wife and consciously began to pull the hammer back. If you kill me, the police will know where to look, Kimball pleaded. There's no way out of this. Do the right thing. Do it for your little girl. If only you understood. I put a bullet in his head. It's all I could do. Of course, I knew he was right. I knew the cops would come soon, looking for him. I turned to my girl. She stood staring at Campbell vacantly, and I told her to run and get the tap from the corner. She did. Daddy's little angel is so good. She even helped me wrap the body. As I carved, my sister-in-law showed up that night with her husband and kid. As she said, she would, and dinner was ready by 8:30. I really think they loved it. My new recipe. I think we'll be back for more.